What's up, guys? Welcome to AusHoopers TV. Today we've got on Vic Law, very special guest. Obviously, I'm excited as I am a Bullets fan, and he played for us last year. He played for the Orlando Magic, played for the LA Lakers in the Summer League, played for the G League Magic, and just signed with Perth. He's had a little bit of feud with the Bullets players, so I'm keen to hear what he has to say, and we'll dig into it and pick his brains a little bit. What's up, Vic? How you doing?
I'm good. Just relaxing on this Thursday, almost Friday, so happy the week's almost over.
For sure. Obviously, big news recently. You signed with Perth. Congratulations on the signing. Obviously, shook the league up a little bit. When do you head back? When do you head back?
Right now, they're just finishing my visa. And once that's all done, then, you start working on the plane tickets. It's kind of hard right now with Sydney and Melbourne being under martial law or, whatever hectic news is going on over there. So we're trying to figure out flights into Perth, what different options look like. So I'm expecting mid to late September.
Yeah. Talk to us about the signing in Perth. The reasoning behind it, connections with players, was it coaches? Was there another reason? So talk to us about the decision to sign in Perth.
No, well, I think, for a while after Brisbane, my focus was just getting back healthy, right? Like that was a pretty big injury and kind of came out of nowhere. I'm a knock on wood for a healthy season, but just kind of last year, my focus going into the offseason was just getting healthy. I didn't have any plans going back to Australia, didn't have plans going to Europe, didn't have plans going to NBA. My focus was just getting healthy. And then once I kind of started doing the rehab process and really hitting it hard, things started opening up. The doctor started saying, I think you're getting to a level of strength where we think you can play a little early. Not a little early. I guess I was super early in playing when I played in the Summer League. But, I went out there kind of the first day back. I got cleared like 7 days before Summer League started. And the first practice with the Lakers was like a shock to me, right? Like I usually won't doubt myself in anything. But after that first kind of 2 a day, I was kind of, second guessing, was I ready physically for the load that was going to come with playing these games back to back and stuff like that. But, as I did it, I kept pushing, talked to my inner circle and kept going and played well. And so after Summer League, I didn't really have any like direction that I was leaning towards, right? Like everyone wants to play in the NBA. So I guess you could say I was hopeful for that. But I had no eggs in any basket. So I told my agent, let's do Summer League, let's kill it. And then in the Summer League, let's put all the options on the table and see what we got. We got some good feedback from the Lakers. They liked me. Obviously, the injury concerns were troubling for them. Mm-hmm. But, at the end of the day, they had their plans with their roster and wanting to kind of stay older and getting older veterans. That's their, whatever their idea is for their team. And so after looking at the rest of the stuff, kind of coming back to my main point of being health, Perth was just a very attractive option to me, right? Like Europe wanted me to go right after Summer League. And in my head, knowing that I needed a couple more weeks just to be 100%, right? Like I could probably gut it out and play tonight. But I want to make sure I'm 100% so that by next season or come this time next year, I'm in a better position than I was right now. So, I kind of canceled Europe off my table. There's some good teams, good opportunities, but I was comfortable going back to NBL and Perth with the new hire of Danny Mills and Scott Morrison. And just the culture that comes along with Perth, it seemed like an attractive option for me.
For
sure. I'm gonna just touch on that NBL options for you. We noticed recently a little bit of back and forth on IG. Looked like it was all
Bullets.
yeah, with the Bullets. Yeah, AusHoopers page posted about it. I personally love it. I really like when athletes kind of transparent and they just kind of talk a little bit of shit to each other, and there's a bit of just a bit of banter. I think it's good for the league, and I think it's cool to see that. Talk a little bit about that situation. That's all just chill, right? Or is there kind of something behind it?
No, yeah, I'm super transparent. I won't duck any smoke. I won't dodge an interview or miss a question. It was funny. I love the Bullets and my teammates that I had in Brisbane. I had a great time, and they really made me feel like a part of their family. Obviously, going to Perth, right? When I was in Brisbane, there's this running joke around the team and around the league that if I were to stay in the NBL, it's commonplace for teams like Melbourne, Perth, and Sydney to pluck good players from teams and try to build their rosters. And in my head, I kind of just went over my head, right? Like I'm not thinking while I'm in Brisbane, oh yeah, next year I'm going to Perth, right? But it's just funny banter, like right, like it's good media just having them kind of comment and us going back and forth. Like I'm on FaceTime with them as they're commenting the stuff, and we're going back and forth. And obviously, you saw the interaction between the NBL fans, like Perth fans, Brisbane fans. Kind of everyone kind of got in and gave their opinion, which is funny. And what's funny is I posted a story, a Kevin Durant picture, and it wasn't even like there was no like connection between Kevin Durant leaving OKC and going to the Warriors. I just really like that meme as like an excited kind of face.
Yeah.
And people just kind of ran with that. I got like hundreds of messages about that. Like, oh my God, you're such a snake. Can't believe you didn't come back to Brisbane. All this different stuff. And I mean, it's funny, just the nature of international basketball, imports are kind of seen as a commodity. Like I had not given like a 4-year deal with Brisbane. It's kind of 1-year thing. And, they made their offer and Perth made theirs. And I'm happy with the one I made. But I have nothing like, I've been interviewed countless times. I have nothing bad to say about Brisbane. I love Brisbane. I love the Bullets, everything that they got going there. And I'm happy that Coach Duncan got the new coaching position. So I'm happy, for the team. But if I'm, being honest, I can't wait to play them and get back to Brisbane and see the guys get on the court with them.
Can we expect a 50 pace?
Huh?
Can we expect a 50 pace? Is that what's coming this season?
Man, I don't give any guarantees like that. You'll just see a lot of energy and enthusiasm from me back out there playing against those guys.
I think everyone's got it.
A lot of shit
calendars.
talking.
Yeah.
A lot of shit talking. Probably gonna go back and forth. I just had Toby on my podcast talking about how that game will be, and it's gonna be awesome, right? Like outside the game, we'll go get steak and go have a drink or whatever. But in the game, I can't wait to play them. I'm not going to say too much else. It'll be exciting to play them and get back out there.
For sure. I think everyone's got it marked on their calendars, that game, Perth versus Brisbane. It'll be a good one. We'll take it back to Perth. Obviously, I think Perth fans were a little bit confused before signing you. They hadn't made many moves. Obviously, they've got a new coach in Scott Morrison, who has to fill the shoes of Trevor Gleeson. John Mooney departs. Second last year with Cotton going down in the final. What are your thoughts on the team and their chances this year?
Well, I'll turn it to you guys. You guys are the NBL experts. I'll let you answer what your thoughts were on the team. Before my signing, and then after my signing. Now I guess we'll kind of go off that.
This is the first time a question's been flipped onto us, but yeah.
I'm happy to take that. I'll tell you right now. We both had Perth. No, wait. I had Perth missing out before the signing. I had them out of the top 4. I just wasn't sure that they would make the moves. I thought they would rebuild, trying to fill Gleeson and all that stuff. And they lost a few guys to Tasmania and all that type of stuff. And now since they've signed you and another coach, I've put you guys back in the running to make the 4. And I had Melbourne initially there, and Melbourne kind of didn't make many moves either. So I kind of slid them out and put you guys back there. Reese had you guys there from the jump, right?
Yeah, purely because of the name. Obviously, Bryce Cotton's a top player. And signing you has just solidified it, I think. Obviously, I'm a Bullets fan. So I watched all your games last season. I know what you can do. So signing you is a big piece. I feel like you and Cotton always has that second man. He had Nick Kay, then he had John Mooney, and now he has you. I feel like it's going to be pretty unstoppable. New coach. Everyone knows what Perth can do. I think you guys have a really good shot.
Yeah, I think I'm excited to see, kind of I guess I would equate it, right, like to being in America and being in the NBA. When you play the Lakers, it's kind of like, you're playing the Lakers, right? And when I was in Brisbane, I didn't really give a fuck. It's kind of like, you're playing another team, you're kind of playing them. But to everyone familiar with the NBL and kind of the league, playing Perth means something, right? Like you're playing like a winner, a consummate team, right? You're playing like the gold standard in NBL. And to kind of be a part of that culture, it's something special, right? And I think regardless of the coach and and whatever the front office moves were, right? Like a player-led team is the best team, and I feel like Perth kind of brought back a lot of their leaders and leadership group. I know they lost Steindl. Did they lose anyone else? Or is it just Clint?
Lost Mooney.
Magne
Oh yeah,
as
Clint
well.
and Mooney. Yeah, and Magna to Tasmania.
Yeah.
But I thought the core, like, they got Norton back, Kevin White, Bryce, Blanchfield, Wagstaff. They got a lot of like their kind of like Perth, culture and tradition still there, right? Like you still have the guys that lead the team, and I thought that speaks for itself, right? Like that you can't ever count that out, right? Like to win, you have to know what it means to win and how to win, and I feel like they always. They kind of, figured it out, right? And I'm excited to get in within that culture. I hadn't really looked at to be honest with you, I hadn't looked at like the NBL roster moves. I feel like the NBL has gotten a lot stronger, throughout the board. Like Adelaide has gotten better, Sydney's gotten better, Brisbane's gotten better. Like a lot of teams have just added pieces, right? And I know with COVID still being a thing and European markets going down, and who knows what's going to happen with China. I know a lot of players are looking at Australia, right? Like the Aussie hoops has gotten a lot better. I don't know what the NBL looked like about 10 years ago, but I do know within this last decade, the visibility of the league and talent pool within Australia has boomed, right? Like whatever it may be, you've got Giddy, you've got Daniels that's going to the Ignite team. Landell just signed a contract with Spurs. Magne had the two-way with Pelicans. You got RJ Hampton, LaMelo that's coming through. You just have a lot of Tugs came here. You just have a lot of players that are now seeing the value of the NBL, right? NBL, I think, always is world-class in treatment of their players. It's the only other league that has a salary cap, which is interesting. And I think, it does a lot of things the right way. And Australia as a country is a great country. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, right? And especially with the Olympics and how well the Boomers did getting their first medal, I just think they really put themselves on the map as a country that has good basketball and can compete. Right, like I know Australia has Aussie rules football and rugby, but I'm excited to see what basketball becomes, in the country. So with the league kind of reloading and kind of getting deeper, I'm excited to get there and play. Right, like my biggest skill, I feel like, is my competitive spirit, my fire, and I can't wait to get there and play against the better talent and just see how Perth uses me because now that I think that they've signed me and I think they've been pretty vocal about it. They can kind of move around with this third import spot, right? Like whether they want to play me as a 4, as a 3, either wing, or even if they want to go really small and play me as a small ball 5 and just have me bring the ball. So I think it just really adds a new dimension to stuff, right? And I think last year with Bryce and Mitch having to bring the ball up and stuff, I think me, in whatever capacity they'll use me as another playmaker, will definitely be something different because I know a lot of guys at my size won't come up and pressure me. And that's not something I'm really worried about anywhere. I wouldn't care if, the best defender in the league was on me to bring the ball up. But I do know that, the bigger 4s or even bigger 3s won't come all the way down the court and try to pressure 94 feet. So that's just another outlet that we have. So I'm excited to get down there. I think we're going to have a ton of pieces and it'll be exciting to see who this third import and what are the other Aussies they'll bring in.
For sure. It's the third import. You got another import coming. That's a bit scary. But yeah, it's dope to hear about you taking on and thinking about the Australian culture. And obviously you said Dyson's going to the league, Landale with Spurs. It's dope to hear that. Let's take it back in time. Obviously born in Chicago. We spoke to Kiefer Sykes, the Southeast Melbourne import, in a previous episode about him and how he was raised in Chicago. What was it like growing up in Chicago for you?
I actually was born in Chicago, moved to Mississippi until I was 9, and then moved back to the South Side. So I got, I kind of got the country feel, and then I came back to the big city. But just being on the South Side of Chicago, right, like toughness was bred through and through. My mom being from Mississippi, my dad being from Cabrini Green, toughness kind of being bred through the heart of our family and all my siblings, right? Like I was big into football when I was younger. I was pretty good at it. And it wasn't until, to be honest with you, my sister kind of kicked my ass and all my friends' ass in basketball on the pavement. Now I really started getting serious at it, right? Like I can just remember spending countless days outside in rain, snow, I know you guys don't know about that Chicago weather, but being out there in -5-degree weather, just shooting, praying on the day that I get to meet my sister. As funny as that sounds, it's kind of like the Reggie Miller, Sherrill Miller kind of thing.
Yeah.
I would have a good game and have like 20, and then, my sister would come home and say she just had 45. And so it was always like kind of like a constant back and forth with that. But just being from like like Chicago, right? It's something different about that. And I know I kind of felt it from people that were from Victoria or Melbourne when they spoke about basketball. But, I always thought Chicago was like people say New York or North Carolina or California, but I always thought Chicago was like the best, especially when I was growing up, was the best basketball around, right? Like everywhere you went, it was good, somebody hooping, somebody good, somebody in the gym that was better than you or thought they were better than you or coming at you, right? Like, and I just remember being a kid and just being outside at the parks, being in a rec center until the lights came on, being out there all day just playing, constantly playing, right? And it wasn't even about getting better. It was just about being out there, just playing, just having fun. And I feel like growing up in the city, it just gives you a different type of toughness and a different mindset about the grit and the grind that it takes to be a basketball player.
For sure.
Yeah, that kind of links into my next question I was going to ask. I spoke to Kiefer Sykes about this as well. Obviously, I think the culture in Australia is a little bit different to that of America. I think where you're from and exactly what city you're from has a big part of your identity, I think, in America, a lot more than it does here. What do you think about the importance of the reputation it carries being from Chicago, and how does that impact you on the basketball court?
Yeah, I mean, in my head, I'm never like, just saying, I'm from Chicago, right? That's not like what's something going through my head. It's just kind of built and bred in me. But I do know when people, everyone wants to be a tough guy nowadays, right? Like I don't know where that started. I don't know if Draymond Green like made that popular or whatever. But I know everyone wants to be a tough guy. Everyone wants to be that, like, get in your face and do all that. And I love it. I love all of that. I'm all about it. Just being from Chicago, right? Like, I'll never have a guy come to me and, try to bark in my face and that be like what I back down to. Like, never have a guy come and be like, where I'm from. No, none of that. Like, that doesn't even come close to flying with me. I'm all about pressure, all about the smoke, all about all of that. Like, I love competition, love getting better, love like the best players coming in the biggest moments. And that's like what I'm all about always, right? And I think that's like, maybe that's a Chicago thing, but never are you going to have a person in Chicago say, I'm from Chicago, right? Like, you got the West Side, South Side, and the North. But, when you're from Chicago, what's already known don't need to be said, right? Like, you don't got to preach it and say it all out, but it's there.
For sure. How was your experience with being ranked? Obviously, in the US, there's a ranking system. Over here, there isn't. I want to ask how your experience was. Were you underrated throughout high school, or did you have to try and make a name for yourself? How was it?
No. I was when I was young, my freshman sophomore year. What is that for you guys? So 9th to 10th grade.
Yep.
I was top 25 in the country.
Yeah.
I got invited to the USA team. And unfortunately, because of like previous football injuries, I had to get surgery and stuff. So coming back, I actually fall into the 60s. But I was a pretty high recruit. Like, coming into high school, no rankings, no nothing. Kind of just a kid from the like south suburbs, south side. Kind of, just playing, talented, but like didn't really think about like pros and nothing, right? Like, it's different now. Like, everyone has social media. Everyone's worried about all that. Like, when I was growing up, I was just playing, right? I played football, played basketball. And in my head, I was just trying to be the first, like, a dual sport athlete in college. Like, I wasn't thinking about, I'm really about to take basketball to, the top. But once I got to high school, I went to St. Rita High School, which is, a huge sports school in Chicago. And kind of just, I don't want to say blew up, but like my coach kind of like nurtured me into being better. Like, he opened my eyes that, I could actually do it. So from my freshman and sophomore year, from not being ranked to getting in the top 25 and just getting a ton of, college scholarships. And that's like my first moment of really realizing maybe I can do something with this basketball thing.
Nice. And then you ended up going to Northwestern. How was that experience?
It was good, man. Like I love Northwestern as a school. I love my experience there. I made some lifelong friends, and obviously the education speaks for itself. You know, I put myself in a position after basketball to be happy and successful, right? Like, and that's one of the biggest things my mom and dad preached to me when I was making my decision. But you know, I loved my Northwestern experience, right? Like we were the first team ever in the school's history to make the NCAA tournament. We competed with some of their best teams, and just to see some of my teammates now still playing and still continuing their careers is awesome. So I love my experience in Northwestern. I think I learned a lot.
For sure. We'll get into your pro career. You signed your first pro contract with the Orlando Magic. I think it was a two-way contract, had you bouncing in and out the NBA and the G League. And then in the G League, you made the All G League third team. You averaged 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. You also played 8 NBA regular season games and 1 playoff game in the NBA bubble, which is what I want to get into. How was the NBA bubble experience? A lot of people have different mindsets on it. A lot of people have different takes. Cool. Okay.
It was cool, like right, like the first. I mean, it was a great to be a part of it. Like it's something I always remember, right? Like, you know, it's always something some people want to know is how was the bubble.
Yeah.
It was cool, right? Like the first 2 weeks when we got there. Let me backtrack. So before the bubble even started, we had like a month and a half, 2 months training camp, right? Like we were just in your respective cities training, like getting ready for it because no one knew when it was going to start. It could have been tomorrow. It could be in 3 weeks. Like no one knew. So, you know, we all just preparing, like it could be any day. And we finally got the news, just building up to it. And then for us, you know, being in Orlando already, it was just a 30-minute drive to get down there. So for us, it was kind of different because I know for my veterans, especially ones with families, it was hard being in a place where like, you know exactly where you are, right? Like you're only a 7-minute drive from your house. And them saying like you couldn't see your family and stuff, like I can only imagine like what that felt like. But for me, being in there for the first 2 weeks, like was something like special, right? Like it's like almost like being on the first day of school, right? Like there was your teammates, like you're seeing everything. Like when we walked in the hotel, you know, we're getting our keys, and I'm seeing like Joel Embiid just walking by. I'm watching Luka Doncic and Boban just play bags out in the front. It just feels like we're just like at camp, right? Like, and all the tour stuff is just kind of funny. Just feels like you're at a summer camp with a ton of like guys that you see on TV, and now it's just normal life. You're just all here together, kind of trying to figure it out. And similar to the Melbourne hub that the NBO had, like it was whoever team could adjust the best, right? Like, or whatever team could adapt the best to being in that environment, going to those practices, having all those meetings was going to put themselves in the best position to win. And I thought a team that really did like embrace that was Miami Heat, right? Like they got to the finals. They played really well in that bubble. And it was just something like, you know, we were there for about 2 months. So the longer you're there, the longer you realize like you're going to practice, meetings, right back to your room, right? Like you could break up the day with golf or something. But I tell you what, you can only golf so much during the week, man. Like I feel like after a while, I just was playing 2K and just going to practice day in and day out. It just seemed like it was always Tuesday, right? Like I don't know why, but that became a joke. Like it's just Tuesday again, right? Like with the days just kind of ran together. And then when the playoffs started, like that was something different. Like we got to experience what playoff scouting was like and what real playoff basketball was like. Obviously, we didn't get the fans, right? Like I think that's a huge piece, traveling and having home court advantage and stuff. But you know, just kind of seeing like getting a taste of playoff basketball is something that was cool.
Yeah, that's dope. I think it's really rare for Australians to have guys come into our league with pre-existing NBA experience. You already mentioned that there's a bit of a hub and people bounce the other way. And I love hearing stories about the NBA from player standpoint and their experiences there. Is there one story, I don't know, like an exchange with a player or some sort of moment that you had that was like your wow moment that you were like, oh shit, I'm actually here in the league?
Yeah. So I went to training camp with the Magic, right? And that was like its own experience, right? Like I think I was ready out of college, but I don't think like I knew what was coming, right? Like I feel like it's always easier for people when they're comfortable to get kind of their feet wet. But like, you know, like you say, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And training camp was definitely my wake up into like getting into the league, the speed of it, like having an old school coach just like, I don't have time for rookies. Like you make a mistake, get the hell off the court. You know, so I definitely learned how to be a pro with the Magic and like mentally like got a ton stronger. Like, you know, my mental strength and mental fortitude and patience for stuff just got a lot better. But my like welcome to the league moment was, so we're in Orlando, and this is so after January, I had just permanently been moved up to the Magic. They just kind of wanted me on the team and wanted me around the team because of my play in the G League. And they just saw, I guess they saw something in me. So I didn't get to go back down to the G League until I asked them if I could, because I was on a two-way, so I would get like spot minutes here and there. But like sitting, I'm a competitor, so I wanted to play. So I was like, if you guys want me up, that's cool. But like send me back down for a game, then bring me back. Like let me play a game, and then bring me back up. So I only got to play against Maine. But coming back, I remember coming back from Maine, kind of like the big wings of 3-4s, right? Like me, Jonathan Isaac, AG, Gary Clark kind of like played, these ones, right? And I'm doing good. And I guess you could say Chicago and me's coming out. Like, I'm feeling it. Like, I'm like getting into my bag a little bit. And I think I miss a shot per game. And Aaron Gordon gets it. And it goes around and I'm on defense. And I swear, like we're on the left wing. He goes middle. I cut him off. And he shoots like a I don't even know, like a half floater, half hook. And he shoots it. He's at like 2 steps within the free throw line. So he's on like a long like hook. I'm like, oh, great. Like, I got it. Like, that's mine. That's a bad shot. I don't box him out. I just contest it and turn around. And I swear to God, AG must have shot it. His tiptoes must have touched the ground. And he tip dunked it so hard on me. And I was like, man, like this is, this is NBA, like, this is NBA talent, right? Like, I don't know. Like, Australia got some good players, but I don't know how many people are shooting a hook from outside the lane and before the other person even jumps their back off the ground and dunked it. And so that was something I had never seen someone do before, especially on me. And so it was just funny, right? Like, I think he tried to dunk it too hard and he missed it, but just him helping me up and being like, watch yourself now. It's just funny to me, just kind of going back in the line as like a rookie that's like, yeah, you better box out if he's anywhere like near the, that low area, because I've never been dunked on like that. But boy, with that, I'm happy that wasn't on film, because boy, would have been nasty.
Crazy. That's so dope.
We got to
So then
find film of that.
you end up, yeah, we have to for sure. So you end up coming to Brisbane after that, like we mentioned. How was that? You already spoken about the organization in the city and they embraced you and all that. But from another standpoint, how did it feel being in a, I mean, I don't want to say it like this, but kind of like playing down. Like, you're coming in with NBA experience. You're coming in from a situation where you've been at the pinnacle, and then you're almost like coming to a situation that's beneath that as a league. How was that mental adjustment for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it was coming down. It was just a different experience, right? Like, everyone's path is different, and your journey never stops until you say so. And so I just saw it as like another opportunity, right? Like, the Magic wanted to bring me back and wanted me to do the G League again. I didn't want to do that again. Or at that time, I was like, no, I'm good. And so I didn't even hear that many options. Like, the first thing my agent said was, would you want to go to Brisbane? I met Dre, I met Sammy and CJ, and I instantly kind of connected with them. And so I was happy for the opportunity. I had heard the NBA was up and coming, and a big challenge to me was they said Brisbane's not a newer team, but they kind of just got back in the league. They're not expected to do that much, but they got talent, and we think with you, like, we can actually make something happen. I definitely think while I was healthy, we had a real chance to be in that 4 and compete for a grand final, right? Like, I thought barring, a bad game from us against New Zealand and who else did we lose to? I forget who else was also in the hub, but like, we could have been competing for the championship of the hub. We came in 3rd, and like I feel like that should have been ours too. And I think a lot of our guys did, right? Like, we had Toby come on and play real well. Tyrell Harrison came into his own. We just had a lot of guys like play well. And I felt the way I was playing, like we were really starting to click and bond, right? Like, I could have wished we could have played just a little more defense. Yeah. But the way our offense was rolling, like, I don't think anyone was scoring with us, right? Like, we lost to Sydney, right? And that game was 109 to 116. Like, that wasn't like NBL games are like 80 to, especially Perth games are like 80 to 75, like 70 to 60. And we had just had a game at halftime. It was 78 to 74, right? Like, we were clearly on pace for 140. And, we go in the locker room and get berated, but like, coming out of the locker room, we're all like, all right, but we're, you know, we may not guard right now, but we're pretty damn good on offense though.
Yeah.
And I think we all had confidence like in ourselves that like with the way we were clicking the team we had, you know, on any given night, like we could beat a team, right? And obviously on any given night we could lose, but I just thought we were like had enough confidence and chemistry that like we were definitely rolling.
For sure. I just want to touch on Coach Lamanis. You mentioned before that you met him before signing with Brisbane. You had a little bit of a connection. I've heard mixed things. Obviously, with anyone, you get mixed emotions about.
For sure.
Mostly good. How was he, and how did you find playing under him?
I like Dre. I thought he was definitely different. He was the most laid back coach I've ever played for. Like I've played for some kickers and screamers, like some real spit in your face type of coaches. You know, waste time out just to curse somebody out type of guys. And Dre was just real, you know, laid back. Like he liked to surf. Like it was funny because like when I came in, seeing Dre, I was like, wow, you're like are you like a stereotypical Aussie? Like, you're like what Americans think Australians are. You come in and you're just like, man, how you doing? I'm just coming back from a surf. You know, just kind of like real laid back, right? Like not mad about nothing, just going with the flow with everything. But it was cool. Like I thought he had a ton of knowledge about the game. And that's what I really liked. I thought he taught me a lot. I thought, you know, he helped both me and Sobe get better. Obviously, you know, he used us a lot. But yeah, no, I like Dre. I thought he was really cool. Like, and he definitely had the pedigree and the experience behind him to, you know, to command that respect, even without, you know, yelling and screaming.
I wanted to touch on, I want to take you back into one specific time in the Bullets season. The Cairns game, obviously, you got the isolation on Noi, and you got the bucket for the win. Can you take us through that play? And was that the best memory as a Bullet?
Yeah, so that was a play we had worked on. Obviously, the first option was me to score, and the second option was get back to Sobe.
Yeah.
I was just that game. You know, we had the scuffle that game. There's a lot of back and forth, and you know, I just kind of took upon myself. We're winning or losing this game. I'll be the one that's gonna win or lose it. And you know, I was happy. I got the move off right. Like, you know, I cut it pretty close, but I'm happy I got it off. And but I don't think that was my favorite Bullets moment. I think my favorite Bullets moment was when we beat Melbourne in the Hub. You know, just having all their fans, and I feel like they had like a cockiness to them. You know, that they wouldn't lose. You know, they kind of said they might go undefeated that season.
Yep.
And so, you know, that game was super fun. Like, you know, it was just a really contested game. I thought that was fun, and playing them and beating them was cool.
Yeah.
But you know, I thought the NBL season was good. Like, I personally myself don't think I played that well. I thought, you know, I couldn't make a three to save my life. Like, I shot like 29%, and people were playing me as like a post-up driver. And, you know, even though they were doubling me and stuff, like I was just like, wow, this is different. Like I just felt like I had to adapt my game to playing because I wasn't making enough shots. I mean, I don't think I really took a lot from three, but I was, you know, I just thought the first year with the Bullets, like I played okay. Like I thought I just was all right. And I'm excited to come back with Perth and really light it up.
Yeah, for sure. So then you midway through that season, you've touched on it already, but you hurt yourself obviously with that injury, unexpected, unpredictable, weren't prepared for that. How mentally draining was and is the recovery? Seems like you're still kind of dealing with it. And how frustrating is it to know that that's probably kind of the roadblock now from getting a long-term deal in the league?
Oh man, like I've already had my screaming the pillow moment, right? Like I've already had the stressors and the disappointment. It's a part of life, right? Like I said earlier, like everyone's journey is different. Everyone has their own path, and I think you never know. This could be a blessing in disguise, right? Like, what if I go to Perth and just absolutely love it, or we never know what's going to come from this, right? Like, I didn't think I was going to get ankle hurt this season. I've never had ankle problems, so I didn't know that was going to happen. So I'm not one to look at as the glass, half empty. I'm really a glass half full guy. And, I'm still only like 4.5 months out. Had the surgery mid-April. So once by November, I'll be about 6, 7 months. So I'm sure, by that point I'll be ready, right? And obviously it's frustrating, like on my day-to-day, like even today I played ones, and didn't move like great, right? Like I went down, I'm gonna try to dunk and had to lay it up. Like it's still just lingering, right? Like still there. Like I still have to strengthen it and still get back. But the good thing is I have the time to do that, right? Like I think by November I'll be ready. Even by October 1st, like when we start doing stuff, I'll be much more further along. And saying this isn't to say like I'm like not confident in my ankle, right? Like I went to summer league and was one of the leading scorers on our team. I hope to win a ton of games, but I think I just want to make sure I'm fully 100%. So like I said, like when I come back to the NBL and come back to Perth, I don't think I'm leaving anything on the table, right? Like I'm doing everything I can to play as well as I can.
Sure. Obviously, you just touched on the summer league. You got the call up from the LA Lakers, probably the biggest franchise in basketball in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw LeBron and Westbrook come down to a game. Did the pressure ever sink in that you're playing for the LA Lakers, or wasn't that really a thing? Did you not get fazed by it?
No, I thought it was just cool being, maybe like the first day we were in the gym in LA, practicing, and Kurt Rambis talked to us about the LA culture, and we're seeing all the guys and they're warming up and stuff. But now, like, the Lakers are one of the teams that said, even if Vic's injured, like we want him. We want to get him out and we want to get a look at him. So that alone should give you confidence, right? Like when I started summer league, I was still only 3.5 months out. And I got cleared 6 days before. I didn't even think I was going to do summer league. My agent was just like, we got a handful of teams that want you. They know you just had a surgery, but the Lakers had open roster spots. So, what the hell? Like, just go out there, believe in yourself and see what happens. And, good things happen. I played well. And, this is the path that I'm on. Like I'm about to be a Perth Wildcat. And, I'm the type of person that no matter what decisions you make, you shouldn't look back. You should just kind of attack it 100 miles an hour and just go full steam ahead. Because if you go into anything with regrets, you're never going to get the full out of it. So I'm excited about this, and I'm really happy to be going to Perth.
For sure. I just want to ask you something as well, a little bit kind of related to basketball, but more so about the America-Australia comparison. Obviously, you bounced around a couple of times. You've been there and back and there and back, and now you're back for Perth as well. Specifically, have you noticed any major cultural differences on the court? I'm talking like trash talk and like individual one-on-one based battles type of stuff in terms of.
I thought you were going to say the country. I was going to say, well, the first thing is the fact that your KFC doesn't have biscuits. And I'm not talking about like scones or cookies. I mean like bread rolls with the zinger box is unbelievable. And you guys like KFC in Australia, which is weird. I'm a big Popeyes guy. Well, I used to be. I gave up fast food, but when I came to Australia, everyone was like, you got to get KFC, you got to get the zinger box. As an American, I was like, it's not 2 a.m. on a Friday. I don't need KFC. But as culturally, like basketball wise, I think everyone kind of talks shit. Everyone has what gets them going. I think the biggest differences obviously are like the rules, like the FIBA rules in Australia. But I would say like on a personal level, I think competition in America is just more, right? Like I don't know if it has to do with like our like lifestyle or society, but it definitely seeps into sports, right? Like everything is so competitive. Like everyone wants everything all the time. Like it's not just okay to have 10 points and win, right? Like everyone wants to be the guy. Everyone wants to win MVP. Like everyone just wants more all the time. And that's definitely in sports too. Like everyone's super competitive. And I feel like in Australia, right? Like, especially like even looking at your grassroots coming up, like you guys have talent and definitely talent that's getting better and like coming up. But like just like the competitive fire that's within everyone is just different, right? Like in America, it's different. And that's maybe why like we have like, better basketball to a sense, right? I'm not saying like Australian basketball is bad, but I do know like the resources and like the amount of like hunger guys have
coming out to play is different, right? Like, we have guys, especially that I know, that like you play basketball and you either make it or like you don't eat that night, right? Like you play good or like that's the end of the world. And I definitely got it, like a feel for that in Australia. Like sometimes when we lost and I will like be on the brink of like wanting to break a chair. I was like, it's all right. You know, we're gonna lose some games. You know, like a saying with the Bullets was, and I don't know if this is right or wrong, but like being a couple games above 500 sometimes gets you in the playoffs, right? And like in America, you don't even want to be close to 500. Like that's not even like if you're 500, even close to it, you're bad. So I was like, I don't want to lose any games. Like if we lose like 4 games, all right, you know, you're gonna lose something. Like you're not gonna be perfect, but you know, my mindset was just like, I don't want to lose nothing. Like I don't want a moral victory. I don't want to, you know, we played good tonight, kind of thing. Like I didn't like that, and I thought, you know, like I love Brisbane. Like I already saw our chemistry was great. But if I had to like nitpick a difference, it would just be like the calmness and like laid back kind of nature of some of the games and like some of the wins and losses.
For sure.
Yeah. But what about play style? Real quick, I just want to ask about that. Do you find that it's more isolation based, more skill set based in America?
No. It is definitely like team.
Yeah.
You know, like move it, cut, like everyone. You know, like if you watch NBA games, the play literally is like run a guy off the screen and then get the hell out the way. Like get him open where he wants it, and then move. Like, you know, you saw them play on basketball when it was the Nets when they got hurt. All they did was run Kevin Durant down the court to the high ball screen and just space it out, put shooters around them who don't like move, and just let him be him. Right? You even saw with America, like when we played internationally, we struggled at first because a lot of times, like if the game got ugly, we would just give it to Durant and just be like, all right, save us. Like just ISO against a loaded defense, which is hard. You know, like, you know, I got to teach that being in Australia. Having, you know, like the second time we played Adelaide, they doubled every time I touched it, no matter where I was. And, you know, that's like different because they're not doing that in the NBA. Like the floor is so spaced. There's a defense of 3 seconds, right? Like, and it's just like you can kind of play free in Australia, right? Like, especially with a lot of teams having traditional 5s who don't shoot. There's always a 7-footer or a big down there. And then the guards are digging in or doubling, and then you have a 5 rotating over. So you have to learn like how to cut, how to get in your spot, how to create space. And I'll say the difference between the NBA and the NBL are like the NBA has 5 guys that are like bigger positionally and more athletic, so they can cover more space. So you can have like a Jared Allen or you know, you saw him something like a Jericho Sims sit on the opposite side of the block and still be able to come over and recover. In Australia, as opposed to that, you have coaches scheming and game planning around guys' strengths, which they also do in the NBA. But you sit in gaps, you plug. The line's a little smaller, so you have guys that are closer to the line. You plug. Yeah, and you can get back out. You can close. You can stunt off the plugs. You have the big guys. Most times the 5s in NBL, unless you're playing like Daniel Johnson, Jarrell Martin goes to the 5. Jock was shooting 3s. Other than that, you know, I can't really think of like, I know I'm probably missing somebody, but you know what I'm saying? Like there are a lot of 5s in the NBL that like sit in the paint that are good around the rim. So they're around the rim. And so that means the defender is always around the rim. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially on ball screen, like naked ball screens, you can tag all the way over. Like you don't have to worry about the paint thing. So I feel like just the way, like the eliteness of coaching in NBL has to be like better. Just because you don't have like a Giannis that you can just say, and I'm not saying, you know, NBA coaches are bad, but you don't have like a Giannis. You can say, all right, go dunk it. Just go and score, right? Like just go score every time. Bro, like the closest thing, you have like really good players. And the closest thing I can say is like Bryce. And even on Perth, like you have to like, they still work to get him open, right? They still run sets and run plays. They don't just give it to him and all just flatten out, right? They may do that a little bit, but like, you know, you still have to move and cut and get the defense to move so they're not just set the whole time.
For sure. We'll cut into our next segment. It's called fan questions. We put these on our story for our followers to ask you.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hirsch.
Yeah. First one's from Seppi0 on Instagram. What one skill helped you the most at the professional level?
I would say my versatility and my IQ with the game. You know, obviously being able to, on my Lakeland team, I know that was my first professional experience, having 4 guys that average 20. You know, a lot of people be like, well, how are you getting shots? How did you touch the ball, right? Like you have to really be able to like find out like your niche, right? Like where you can be effective. And that season, you know, I was just blessed to be super efficient. But, you know, I think my game is just very adaptable where I can kind of plug in and fit with different guys and play. You know, if you need me to be option 1, I can do that. If you need me to kind of play off somebody, I can also do that. So I would just say my versatility and my IQ, just kind of knowing where the ball is going to go and being in the right spots.
This one is from Jesse Share. What's your career high?
58.
A lot of points. This one's from Cohen Fiteni. Any tips for players trying to make a name for themselves?
Yeah, I would say don't try to go right. Like I get a lot of this in America, right, with guys trying to go high Division 1, Division 2, Division 3. I would say go where you're wanted and where you can play, and people will find you if you're doing what you're supposed to do, right? Like if you're down there killing, doing numbers, doing what you're supposed to, winning, people will find you. Like you'll move up. And you don't have to be like, I got it. I just have to play an NBL right now, right? Like NBL ain't calling. Go where they're calling and play and kill, and then get moved up. And slowly, you know, like the journey is gonna work. Like what's for you will be there.
That's good advice.
That's big facts.
This next one is from a guy called Tamri Wigness.
Yes, sir.
He said, tell him when he comes to Brisbane, it's gonna be like Chirac for him. It's not really a question.
No, for sure. I've been talking to Terry all week. I can't wait to get back and see him, and it'll be all jokes.
For sure.
This last one's from Basketball Down Under. I think we've touched on this a little bit, but maybe just a brief answer to address it. How does it feel leading multiple stats for Summer League and not getting a full NBA contract?
You know, it's disappointing, right? Like it's disheartening, especially in my mind, you know, playing on one foot and just kind of trying to go out there. Like some of the feedback I got was I wasn't athletic. And I was like, man, like that is ridiculous. Like if I could, like being athletic is like a big part of my game. If I can do what I'm doing without being athletic right now, you should be excited for what's next. But you know, it is what it is, right? Like I'm not gonna hang my hat on it. I'm not gonna let what someone else's narrative define me. So, like I said, whatever I have in front of me is what I'm gonna attack at 100 miles an hour. And if I can kill where I'm at, that's what I'm gonna do. And like I said with my last answer, you just go where you're wanted and you slowly grind it out, and people will notice.
For sure. It's a good mindset. Our last segment, 10 quick questions. These are rapid fire. You just answer these as short as possible. Yeah. What is something you are appreciative of? Could be anything.
My family and my inner circle.
Favorite NBA player and why?
Now or all time?
All time.
I guess all time.
I really like Jordan and Dennis Rodman. Yeah, Jordan, Dennis Rodman.
Okay, cool. Funniest Bullets teammate?
Oof. I'll give that to Tyrell Harrison.
Ooh, nice. Seems quiet.
Nah, he's cool. He's my roommate on the road too. So I got a ton of time to spend with Tyrell.
Nice. Donovan Mitchell or Devin Booker?
Oof. I think both are good. I think you can't go wrong with either. I think, you know, if you're trying to rank them, it would be like 1A, 1B. But I guess I would more rock with Donovan Mitchell's game.
Good answer. Dinner with 5 people, dead or alive?
Barack Obama, Kanye, Malcolm X, Michael Jordan, and dead or alive. Okay. And Eddie Murphy. Oh no, Dave Chappelle. Sorry, Dave Chappelle. 5.
Yeah, Chappelle's the GOAT.
Yeah.
All right, who's the most underrated player you've come across at any point in time?
I'll speak in the NBL. I'll say Sam Frawling with Illawarra was super underrated. I thought what he did in his role, especially with them, was super, super impactful. And I'll say, like, in the NBA, you know, I don't think he's underrated. Like, I think people value him for, you know, what he is. But I think PJ Tucker and like, you know, what he brings to a team, guys like Jimmy Butler, who bring that fire and that intensity every night. And you can clearly see they're giving, you know, everything they got every given night, right? Like they might not have like that killer crossover or whatever, like, you know, that fans like the oohs and ahs, but they get it done day in and day out. So I like those hard hat guys.
Who's the hardest player you've ever had to guard?
Devin Booker, actually.
Yeah.
Guarded me EYBO twice.
Yeah.
Nice. Who do you think go win in the NBA 2022 season?
It'd be hard to bet against the Nets. They just signed Paul Millsap too. Them and the Lakers. I just guess every veteran is trying to get on both of those teams just so they can win. But you know, you can't count out the Bucks. I think the Nets. So I think if the Nets stay healthy, which will be its own bet, will be scary in the playoffs. I think the Lakers, if they can mesh well, it'll be a straight line clash with them two teams.
Who's your favorite coach of all time?
My high school coach, Coach Gary DeCesar, still my mentor.
For sure.
That's the all right. Is an interesting one. Have you played the card game Uno?
Of course.
Okay. Can you place a draw 2 on a draw 4?
Yeah, I made that big post. Everyone seemed to have an opinion about that. You can't do any of that. You can't stack any card. I allow it with my guests just so the game can go smoothly and everyone ain't got to stop the game. But if you have a draw 4 and you put it down, no one else can put a draw 4 or any other card on that. That just you stop and draw 4. Yeah. You really ain't supposed to stack draw 2s, but you know, I'll allow it.
I was just about to say, do you stack draw 2s? I think that's allowed.
In my family house, no, we don't. But if I'm in my own apartment and like we're just playing with friends, and someone stacks it, I'm not gonna be like, whoa. But if I put a draw 4 down and the next guy draw 4 down, you got to get the hell out.
I saw a funny post actually. It was a while ago. It reminds me of that. Uno posted saying the same thing you're saying. They're like, you cannot stack cards on top of anything. And someone replied. I saw a screenshot and they said,
"You don't know how to play Uno."
They said, "Thanks for the cards. Leave the rest to us."
Someone quote tweeted that and said, "You don't know how to play the game."
Yeah. That's the.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks so much for joining us. We know it's time consuming, but we're wishing you all the best in Perth. And yeah, we appreciate it.
Appreciate you,
boys.
Catch up. Thank
Thanks,
you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember, whatever listening platform you guys are listening on, please make sure to follow, subscribe. That's what keeps us going. Remember to keep dropping us questions and who you think we should have on next. And yeah, we appreciate the continued support, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.